And keep it going for Rich.
Thank you. So I showed up in the city of Buffalo, New York in the early 1970s, I think 73. I was restarting my college education, which I had brought to an abrupt close a year and a half earlier. I was much more mature. I'd already enrolled part-time in the school. I arranged to share a house near campus, and I was just going to drop my stuff off and go look for a job because all the money I had was in my pockets, and it wasn't very much. When I got to the house, they said rather coolly, "Oh, there's been a misunderstanding. There isn't a room for you here. Bye." This was important because I needed a place for the semester, but it was also a little urgent because I needed a place for the night. And I wasn't easily put off. I learned where the school was just then, drove to it, found the student union, and found that bulletin board where people advertised rooms, and quickly learned they were all way too expensive at this point in September. So I had an idea. It was not a really good one. I thought, I'm an adult. I was 19, but I had a car, which kind of made you an adult. And I thought, I can live anywhere in this city that I've never been to before and just drive to college and drive to work like an adult. It's not so easy to look for an apartment in the 70s. You can't take your laptop, go to Starbucks, use the Wi-Fi, and browse Craigslist. It's a more primitive society. I got a newspaper. I found the classified ads with the apartment listings, carried it over to a payphone, and had some dimes. Everybody, some of you don't know what that's like, really, but a payphone is like a prepay cell phone where you prepay every minute. You know, and you've probably seen dimes, but back then dimes were like dollars. 3 got you a gallon of gas, 2 got you a cup of coffee, and 1 got you a phone call. And I was in a hurry, so I had another idea. Not the good one. I thought, I'll call the cheapest places first. And I find a 2-bedroom apartment, $60 a month. Well, now even then, that should have set off alarm bells. But I was just dreaming of the idea that I could sublet the other room and pay $30 a month rent. It was greed, there's no question. I call. They answer. Yes, it's still available. Yes, sure, they'll show it to me this afternoon. Where is it? It's on Rich Street. Well, that's great, that's my name, it's an omen. Sure, they say, which back then meant, yeah, whatever. But they want to know from me, do I drink? Do I drink? Yeah, do you drink? That part of my college life was still ahead of me, so I said, no, I don't drink. Good, I don't want any drinking in this place. I'll see you at 3. So I thought this was weird. I didn't understand this. I thought maybe it's in a nice neighborhood and they don't want drinking student parties or something there, but I had to go find out where Rich Street was, and the security people had a big map of the city, and it took us 10 minutes, but we found Rich Street. It's pretty far out there. And we write down the directions, and the guy says, well, be careful, which I figure is what all security people say. But I drive out there, and no, he knew what he meant. And I was sitting there in a neighborhood that clearly they didn't care who was drinking in this neighborhood, really. And I almost had a good idea at that moment, which would have been to drive away. But the guy showed up. Takes me upstairs. It's the 2nd story of a house. We go in. It's dingy. It hasn't been painted in a while, but it smells nice. It smells like fresh air. So I go in, and he's showing me around. There's a big bedroom up front. We go in, and there's a door in there, which I figure is the closet. So I head over to it, and as I reach for the knob, he says, "Don't open that door." I'm 19. I pretend it's too late. I grab it, open it, and pull. It's the door to the 2nd story porch, which must have existed at some time in the past. But now it's the door to death, 12 feet down to a concrete patio. This is why, he explains, he didn't want any drinking. He just imagined drunk people would go through and hurt themselves and he'd get into trouble. So I assured him I would put furniture against the door and we'd never open it again. And I go around, it's not great, but I give him $60. The place is mine. I get my stuff out of my car, I start bringing it up. I putter around for the rest of the day. At about 8 in the evening, I'm still putting a few pots and pans in the kitchen. I start hearing banging on the floor. They're sealing my floor. And then I hear banging and shouting coming up the stairs. And then I hear pounding and shouting at my door. Another idea, not a good one. I opened the door. Here's this guy, I don't know, 40, I'm 19, so everybody looks like they're ancient. And he's wearing a sleeveless t-shirt and boxers and holding a big kitchen knife. He's not brandishing it. It's pretty clear he's a little nervous about doing this himself. He's really pissed off about all the people who've been breaking into this apartment for the last few months and having noisy parties. And he's sick of it. And I think about that for a while. I have to secure the windows a bit. But I convince him, no, we're neighbors, I rent the place, and now we're buddies, and he invites me down for a drink, which I don't do, because you're not allowed. But we're friends. And this is now my place, and that was my introduction to it. I did rent the other bedroom out to a guitar player. He drank. And we lived there, well, we lived there for the rest of the semester. I never invited my parents to see it. Long about winter, I found that the fresh air smell in Buffalo was fresh, freaking cold air. The place never got warm. And we were sitting there in February, which is about the worst month Buffalo has, agreeing that this guitar player and I, the kitchen is freezing. We both know this. It's the worst room. And the worst spot is in front of the refrigerator. And we both had the same stupid thought. Well, it's the refrigerator, so it's cold. But, I had taken physics. I explained to him that no, refrigerators give off heat. And we looked at each other and we looked at it, and it's just so cold. And the two of us dragged the refrigerator away from the wall. And behind it is a hole, this big, right through to the outside. And I stick my head out that hole, and my neighbors are looking and pointing at me, and I'm getting snowflakes on my head. And I had a good idea. I was going to move.